on the podium our new helmet. And I really got to give all the credit to Mike Kuzniak, who continues to develop these ideas for us. And this is something we're really excited about. I know the players are excited about it. And it also gives us an opportunity to do something that we don't do very often. I'm not even sure when the last time it has been done in our program, which is to wear our white uniform for a home game. And with this new helmet coming out, we really wanted our home fans in our home stadium to have the first opportunity to see it live and in person. So this will be the helmet that we'll wear this weekend with our white uniforms. We've got some areas that we need to get better in as a football team. And I think, as we watched the tape and we reviewed last week's game, just to say it one more time, on offense, we need to run the ball more consistently. We certainly had production. We made some big plays. We're really excited about those things. But the consistency of the running game is really going to be something that we will focus on this week to eliminate the negative runs. On defense, we need to tackle better. When you play against a team that puts as much stress on you all over the field as they do, they really didn't stress us in terms of throwing the ball down the field. The stress was really more in terms of spreading the field and making you tackle in space. And there's no doubt in my mind we're a better tackling football team than we were the other night. But we need to do that, and we need to produce that on game day. And then I think in the kicking game, we just need to be more consistent. We've obviously got weapons in the kicking game that we can use, guys like Jeremy Deering, Janarian Grant. We've got a number of people that are going to be a threat to block a punt on any given play. And we certainly have enough people in our program who are more than willing and able to go down and do a great job covering kicks. We can play at a very high level on special teams all the time, and that is our expectation level in our program, and we need to do that. So certainly we work on everything every day, but those are the focal points for us this week as we get into practice and get ready for Norfolk State. Something really exciting, I think, for our program are the contributions of 10 first- and second-year players in that game the other night. As I've said, we've got some experienced players, but we've got a number of players who are in the beginning stages of their career, and so to see them out there and competing, it really it shows you the bright future, I think, of what our program is. And one guy who's not a first- or second-year player but was out there for the first time in a long time, named David Maluski. He has persevered through a lot of different things in his career and really played a fine football game and is one of the emotional leaders on our team. And I don't know, I couldn't be happier for any player I've ever coached than I am for him in terms of watching him be out there and play the way he did the other night. And I'm looking forward to seeing him out there again this week. Just to update you a little bit on the status of a couple of the players that you haven't seen in a little bit. Unfortunately, Miles Jackson and Jamil Pollard will medically not be able to return to football. They remain important parts of our family and our program here, and they will remain in our program. But you will not see them out on the field playing anymore, and that's unfortunate. And Kenny Kirksey will not play this week. He has been suspended for a violation of team policy, and he'll return to action next Sunday night when we practice and start our next game week. We've got a great challenge ahead of us this week. Norfolk State is a team coached by somebody named Pete Adrian, who has been there for 9 years now, and he's done an excellent job with that program. The last time we played them, they played us very tough, and they consistently play great defense. In the last 4 years, they've been in the top 10 nationally at their level in defense. They look like a Division I defense. They've got 3 defensive linemen, 290 pounds, 285 pounds, 290 pounds. They've got a transfer linebacker who's 6'7", 260 pounds. They play defense at a very high level, and they've done it for a long time. They played. I'm sure that they're disappointed in their outcome versus Maine last week, but anybody who knows FCS football knows that Maine is traditionally an excellent program and a team that not too long ago went on the road to Mississippi State and won. So Maine's got a very good football program. Coach Cosgrove does a great job up there as well. So it's going to be a great challenge for us, but we're very excited to be back in High Point Solutions Stadium. I know all the advanced ticket sales have gone well. I know the student section is well on its way to being packed. I had an opportunity to address all of our first-year students the other day in the stadium, and I took a few pictures and tried to put that out on Twitter, and that was a lot of fun. And they seem very excited to get their first experience in the stadium and watch a football team that's going to give them everything we got. Questions?
Kyle, do you think will you remind the players about the FCS success this past week against some FBS teams, particularly in the league? You had 2 league teams, right, lose to FCS teams?
We did, yeah, we did. And as somebody who coached at that level for 8 years, it doesn't surprise me, and we won't necessarily reference it because we're going to we're going to be focused on who we're playing. But I don't think it's foreign to the players. I think they see it, and certainly on TV, you turn the TVs on and it gets referenced. And when it's 2 teams in your own league, for sure, they're going to be highly aware of it. And I think, our motivation is to be 1-0 this week. I don't know that we need any more motivation than that. But if it helps, it helps.
Why do you think that is, Kyle? Is that the talent gap decreasing between FCS and FBS? Why do you think the FCS teams have had so much success?
It was easier when they called it 1AA.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what the individual reasons. I don't know what the individual reasons in any of those games were. I did not see any of those games. What people who've been coaching a lot longer than me have said is when they reduced the scholarships in Division I to 85, it leveled the playing field. And that certainly sounds like a logical explanation. And I know this just from having been at that level for the amount of time I was and having worked with the coaches at that level. There's a lot of really fine football coaches at that level. We've had quite a few of them come on our staff here, and some have moved on and gone to Tampa and other places. But there's no lack of talent and there's no lack of coaching at that level of football. So when you line up and play, it's going to be your group of 18 to 22-year-olds playing against somebody else's group of 18 to 22-year-olds. I think sometimes that gets lost because of the distinctions in level. So your team better be ready to play and execute if you want a chance to be 1-0.
Kyle, with the Kirksey suspension, is he going to practice and still be in meetings this week? And then how does that change the depth at nose tackle for the game? He
will not practice. He will not be in meetings this week. He will do other things assigned by our program. In terms of the depth, it's going to give opportunity to other players. Guys like Darrell Stevenson, guys like Isaac Holmes are going to not Isaac Holmes, guys like Al Page are going to have opportunities to move up the depth chart.
Kyle, besides the obvious things like the home crowd, what are the advantages of playing your next 3 games at home as opposed to last year where you're pretty much on the road up for all of September?
As I've said, we'd like to play them all at home. I don't know if there's any advantage to playing 3 in a row at home. I don't see it that way. We're focused on this week, and we're excited to finally get a chance to play in our stadium in front of our crowd. In any given year, you're going to get 6 or 7 Saturdays where you get to do it, and you want to take advantage of every one of them. So, last year we played 3 of our first 4 on the road, and that's the way the schedule was. And this year we'll play 3 of our first 4 at home, and that's the way the schedule is. And whichever one it is, we'll handle it each year. But for us as a program, it's just focus this week, Norfolk State, and be 1-0, and then after the game we'll move on.
Coach, I see you have Paul James listed as a starter. Can you just talk about that decision and maybe how far he's come?
I think Paul's done a great job, and certainly his production in the last game, he earned the right to go out there first, in the game. The plan going forward is still to play 2 and possibly 3 running backs in the game, and the production will dictate the carries.
Kyle, were you hoping to use more running backs in that game, or just the way things happened, it didn't work out to expand the carries?
I thought there was a chance, but I didn't think it was a necessity. I think once Paul started producing in the game, we wanted to give him more opportunities to do that.
You said a third one might play. Is it Peoples or Goodwin? Is there a pecking order?
It could be more than that. It could be 4. It could be Peoples. It could be Goodwin. I could see all 4 of those guys carrying the ball this year before you even get to Michael Burton. So I think Goodwin and Peoples probably have a different role and a different skill set. So I don't know necessarily that it's a pecking order more so than what the situation could dictate.
Kyle, does Savon's role become more situational at this point, or is it more just giving James a rest when needed?
No, I think it'll be the same it'll be very similar to the last game. They'll both be. We're going to count on both those guys to be ready in every field zone and every situation in the game.
Did you have enough sustained drives in the game? And I ask that because it was almost counterproductive at Paul James ripped off those two big runs. You know, one was 55, one was 65. All of a sudden, you're not holding the ball maybe as long as you would. Did you have enough sustained drives in your mind?
That is a great philosophical question. I've heard coaching staffs go back and forth on those types of things, and I think the job of the offense is to score points. And at the end of the day, that's what they're going to be judged on, and the job of the defense is to keep the other team from scoring points. So I don't know that you can't tell the players not to make big plays. We want big plays. And when you're fortunate to make, I think we made 8 plus 20-yard plays in the game. That's a significant amount. Our goal is 6. So when you have 8, it makes a big difference. And sometimes it puts your defense back out there a little bit quicker. But I don't see it that way. I don't think so. I think that the number one job of the offense is to score points.
You break down, when you look at the film, do you break down for Fresno, for example, yards you have to catch? Do you know how many yards you have to catch they accumulate?
I don't have it right now. I know we had too many missed tackles. You know what the yardage was after that. I don't have it with me right now.
Kyle, I saw you have, well, Andre Civil's a game-time decision, but Chris Muller's back with the first team. Could you talk about his performance against Fresno and kind of how he responded, I guess, to losing his starting job the first time? I know you said he's going to play a lot of football, but now that he's back officially as a starter, how he reacted to not being a starter?
I don't think he reacted differently when he was starting or when he was going out with the first team or not going out with the first team. And I think every player in our program would like to go out there with the first team every time, but if you get too focused on that and not focused enough on just getting better every day, it's going to be hard to progress through your career. I think Chris has done a good job for us. He'll start the game this week. You know, Andre will reevaluate a little bit later in the week to see what his availability will be on game day. But Chris will take the bulk of the reps this week and will start the game. And I was pleased. You know, a guy like Chris Muller, a guy like Keith Lumpkin, you know, in their first college football games in a significant role, you know, I was pleased with the way they played, and I think there's a lot of things they can get better at as well.
Kyle, when you look at the film, you know, how much of a focus was the penalties and trying to limit them moving forward? Did that stick out to you for a first game, the number of penalties?
To us as coaches, everything sticks out. You know, the penalties stick out. The lack of consistency in the run game sticks out. The necessity to tackle better sticks out. You know, the special teams consistency sticks out. All those things do. It's not, we can't pick and choose in terms of what we evaluate and what we critique. But I don't have any doubt in my mind that we'll get better at it.
Kyle, you said at Media Day that what Coach Prince was going to require your offensive linemen was going to take time and it would require them to buy in. How has that process been through 1 week of the season so far?
Was that my quote?
Yeah.
You sure? I never had any doubt that our players would buy into what Coach Prince was doing. I think when you have a coordinator change, he's going to accentuate different parts of our pro-style offense, and I think Ron has done that, and I think he's done a good job. And I think as we go through the season and continue to develop as an offense, hopefully more things will become available to us as an offense.
I know this is probably a futile question, but can you share anything of your conversation with Terry McCauley?
I actually haven't had it yet. What I did was I sent. What I do is, and I think all the coaches in the league do the same thing. You send in the clips that you have questions on to make sure you're training your players the right way, and then he'll get a chance to watch them. And he, you know, this week with no NFL schedule because he's an NFL official, he's traveling back from somewhere, probably seeing a game yesterday, and he'll be back in his office this afternoon. And I'm looking forward to speaking to him.
With Paul Carazola as a game-time decision, I guess, how comfortable are you with Tyler Kroft, as considering he missed so much of training camp, if Paul can't go, being the starter? And do you know yet who would be behind Tyler Kroft if Paul can't go?
Tyler's been back long enough now that I'm not concerned about that. Tyler's played enough football here that he'll take the bulk of the reps this week and he'll be ready to go. And then after him, you got guys like Belia and Arch that are going to have to step up. And when they're on the field, they have to consider themselves a starter and be ready to produce.
Switching gears a little bit, how peculiar is it to have two big impact players from the same town out of state who went to 2 different high schools, like you do in Brandon and Lorenzo. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Give me the question one more time.
Same town,
Right.
out of state, so not Jersey kids that went to 2 different schools. How peculiar of a situation is that?
That's a hell of a statistic right there now. Good golly. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how it feels because I never thought of it that way. That's it. But the Maryland, D.C. area is an important part of the state of Rutgers. You know, recruiting to me at the college level, the state of Rutgers always begins with New Jersey. That's where it has to. And then for us, that's the southern tip of our state of Rutgers before we go to Florida. And it's been a good area for us. And guys like Joe LaFege have come through there, Wayne Warren. We've had quite a few good ones from that area who've helped us win a lot of games here. And Brandon and Lorenzo are certainly going to do that for us as well.
Any other questions for Kyle? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.